Let's ask Bing Chat to write the get call of a .NET 7 Web API, receiving all items from a shopping list first. And now let's see what we can build with that. All right, now this already seems pretty amazing. It is using a controller. We get a dummy list of some shopping list items and also the get call. And additionally, this is actually not what I wanted, but well, here we get a program class where the call is actually made. Well, now let's forget about that, and shopping list items are actually pretty boring, so maybe we can use something different here. Could you use RPG role-playing game characters instead of shopping list items? Sorry if you're not a gamer, but I would like to know if Bing Chat can do that. Sure, it can. All right, now I really love that already. It is suggesting to create an RPG character class now with these properties, which are pretty nice: a name, class, level, health, and mana. We've got the constructor here. All right, maybe class could be renamed to RPG class. Well, maybe we can actually do that. It is actually explaining what this means here. The add class was used because class is a reserved keyword in C#, so I had to prefix it with the add character here. Makes totally sense, Bing Chat. Thank you very much for telling me. But when we use RPG class, as it states here, we don't need the add sign. This is great. You see, you can really already learn with Bing Chat here while asking it questions and building your little application. So now this looks better. We've got our RPG character class here with the constructor and also our mock list here and the get call. Now I would say we test this already with Visual Studio without that stuff, because I really want to use Swagger here instead. So back to Visual Studio real quick. Let's just add a new folder. I created a web API project here, models, and let's just really do it like Bing Chat was suggesting it here. We've got a class called called RPG character, not add. Talking and doing something at the same time is not that easy sometimes. We've got our RPG character, and now we just paste this thing here. And then the next thing already is the controller, of course. Now the namespace to do API. Okay, Bing Chat got it from, I assume, learn Microsoft.com. Oh, sometimes it writes it down here, but in this case, I just assume this is the page where it got this example from. But it changed it a little bit, and this is really nice. So now here, controllers, we add a new controller, which is an API controller. Let's do an empty one. Does it actually explain it here? I think it was up here. You need to add a controller class that handles get request. You can use the HTTP client class. All right, so it's not telling me what kind of controller I need. So if you're a total beginner, maybe this could be one step where you're struggling a little bit. But now, well, after watching this video, you know what to do. Now the RPG characters controller, again, an API controller, empty one. And now we can copy the code. So actually we just need this stuff here. Yep, I think this is the correct stuff. Let's just save everything and try to run this. Here's our result. We've got the weather forecast, of course. That's the default stuff here from the web API template, but also our RPG characters controller with the get call. Let's try this out. We hit execute and we get all the RPG characters. And this is crazy because I did not change any code, nothing. I really just copy and pasted this stuff. So now let's move on. What I want to do is for one, I want to get all the CRUD operations here. So also get a single RPG character, then also create one, update one, and delete one. But I also want to use Entity Framework for that and the SQL Server database. So what about that? Could you use Entity Framework 7 with a SQL Server Express database to get the data? Now, is this possible? Real quick, the .NET Web Academy starts soon. It's an online program where we cover all things .NET Web development with Blazor, Git, Azure, and more. Pretty much everything you need to know if you want to land a job in the .NET Web development world. And also the exclusive .NET Web Academy community for all your questions. And if you want to be the first to know when it opens and if you want to get a discount, then make sure to subscribe to my newsletter or check out the link below to get a spot on the waiting list. Thank you very much. And now back to the tutorial. Sure, I can use Entity Framework 7 with the SQL Server Express database to get the data. It explains what this thing actually is, and it's telling us some steps here. So we need a NuGet package. Model class is already there. Then we also need a database context class, correct? Register in the startup CS, not with .NET 7. There we use the program CS. But let's just see. RPG character. Oh, it even tells us that it added an ID property as a primary key. So it is really thinking this through, it seems. Okay, now here the DB context, that's correct. Also the context, the constructor, using the base class as the base constructor here as well. And also the database set. That's just awesome. And here the registration with the options, connection string, and even a connection string for a locally installed SQL Server Express database. Okay, now we have to add something here. It does not have the knowledge of .NET 7, but we can totally fix that. And in here now it also changed the controller. All right, so let's try that one now. So first, we just copy this thing. And now we get our data here. We've got the name RPG, okay. Then let's add a data folder. Call it data. And in here now, I wanna create the RPG character context. So we just add a new item. RPG character context. That was actually not a controller. So let's just remove this thing here. And this is also not necessary. But this inherits from a DB context. And instead of installing, well, we do not actually need this package here, so additionally to the SQL Server package. So maybe we can really just install the NuGet package first. Do that here, right click, manage NuGet packages. And in the browse tab, Entity Framework SQL. Microsoft Entity Framework Core SQL Server. That's the one. So let's install this thing. All right. So now let's go back to the context. And now we can do this. And again, let's just copy the code. So let's do that. Let's do that. And in here we say services. Now, again, you have to know this, that instead of the startup CS, we need to use the program CS. And as you can see, something is different here as well. It's builder services, but I think this is just the current state of knowledge or data that Bing Chat has in this open version, or this version that is available for us, the normal people, I guess. And this was already the case with ChatGPT. So what's going on here? There's something missing, not services, it's actually configuration. All right, so this is the necessary fix. All right, and now the configuration file. So in the app settings JSON, we add our connections strings section. And here now we have to add something actually, and that'll be trust server certificate is also true. So this is only necessary with Entity Framework 7. So again, maybe Bing Chat is not that up to date. Of course, we changed this. So with that, we've got our connection string, we've got our context, the database set, characters controller. I removed the constructor, so let's get this thing back. Well, maybe when we have a look at the controller now, that actually now we do not want to use any mock data, right? So we now want to get the data from the database. So let's just copy this, paste it now here. What did I copy actually? Yep. So remove this. And now to list async, we need the Entity Framework core reference here. Forgot the slash. Our reference was missing here as well. So yeah, maybe. You would also see the little arrow there as well, but it is suggested by the quick fix menu. So now what is our situation? So we've got the, Jesus, what's happening here? We need the context, of course, and got it here. And now we've got the get method. And in here now, it says characters is weight from C in context RPG character select C. Well, you can do this way easier actually, right? So maybe we can do something like that. Characters is weight context RPG characters to list async. This would also work, but let's just have a look. We first stop there because I know that we also need the database, right? But of course, Bing Chat cannot know this. We did not ask Bing Chat to also tell us how to create the database with Entity Framework Code First Migration, for instance, and also seed some data. So you see, it is important to ask the right questions here. So maybe we can run another prompt. Could you please use Code First Migration to create the database and seed some data? Of course. All right, interesting. So now it is recommending to install Microsoft Entity Framework Core Tools, this NuGet package. So, well, let's just do that, right? So back to Visual Studio, we right click, manage NuGet packages, Entity Framework Core Tools. There we go, install. All right, but now for my specific situation, I have to uninstall the .NET tools globally. So .NET tool uninstall, because when I now enter install .NET EF -- global, for instance, then it is telling me that .NET EF is already installed. So this would probably also work. So let me uninstall this globally. And now .NET EF not recognized here. What about that? Also not recognized. So let's see. Now here it is actually installed, but let's just, well, this will not work. So now what we can do still is do a bit research ourselves. And here they are saying to install this NuGet package, but after that it is telling us to use these commands instead of these commands. So .NET EF, when this thing is not installed but you got the NuGet package, so maybe we can follow this little tutorial here. And now in the package manager console, let's just enter enable migrations. All right, and now here, in comparison to this command, .NET EF migrations. Now, the .NET EF migrations command would be the correct command if you would have installed the .NET tool globally, because I really used this usually. And now this might not, or this might work with this command here. Hope this is clear for now. So add migration. Let's also call this initial create. All right, build started. And by the way, make sure to be in the project directory. As you can see here, I am really in the directory of the actual project, not the solution. This would not work. We have to be set here and then only this works. Now, what do we get here? It is creating an initial migration that will generate a database schema based on your model classes. All right. This command will create a folder called migrations. That's true. In your project with some C# files that represent the migration operations. And this comes from C# corner and also C# corner. All right. And after that, then you have database updates or update database. So let's see. First, the migration files. There they are. Migrations folder, initial create. See that? You get a new table here. The primary key, beautiful stuff. And now let's just say update database. Right, these are all the commands and the database should be updated. So now let's open, in my case, Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. But what is it telling us here? To see the data. All right, of course, this was missing. So here now we add a new method on model creating. So let me just copy and paste this into our RPG character context as well. I think this is not really necessary. And I think there's a curly brace too much. One that we don't really need. Databases. And now here the RPG character database. And we see our characters table with the columns. Now let's hit edit. And nothing is there, of course. So data has not been seeded. Now the problem is when we run this, and hopefully this is the result. Let me just restart the application. Yep. RPG characters, execute. We get nothing, of course, because in the database, nothing is there. Now regarding the seeding, this didn't really work, right? So maybe we can do something else here. Well, this is the correct question, actually. How do I update my model and apply changes? Well, almost correct question. We have to actually apply another migration to also get the seeded data. So seeding data did not work. What did I miss? Maybe we have to run another migration to make seeding the data work. All right, that's too much. Well, that's sad, but now I can tell you to make this tutorial complete that we do have to add another migration. So now let's just use these commands here. The seed data maybe. And with that, we get another migration file, as you can see here, and this is the data that will be added. By the way, this is new that we can actually insert an array of data here. This is new with Entity Framework 7. Before, we had to run single statements to insert all the single characters. And now let's update the database again. And now we should get our characters. And let me just try this here with already with Swagger. Try this out. We hit execute. And now we get all our data, and of course here as well, same thing. So now this was semi-successful. I'd say the beginning was amazing, really, but now when you really don't know what is going on here, what might be the error, then I think you would be stuck. Anyways, I would like to have all the CRUD operations actually for the RPG characters. So maybe we can try that one more time. So let's just open another chat conversation here. Could you please show me the code for all CRUD operations with an RPG character model in a .NET 7 Web API controller using Entity Framework 7? And sure, Bing Chat can do that. Oh wow, now we've got an RPG API with a controller. Okay, this looks nice. Get call looks better now, I guess. Get the get foreign ID. Yep, this looks nice. Put, post, and delete, and character exists. All right, that's nice. And it also tells us that it assumes that we've already got a DB context, an RPG DB context. So let's just copy everything again. And it is injecting again an RPG DB context. All right, let's see. Copy everything and simply just paste everything again. So now this is an RPG DB context. All right, so this is a little bit different. Character context. That would be the right one. And now what's going on down here? RPG character exists. All right, it really is just the space here. Don't know why. Here's a space. RPG character, RPG character. Same here, RPG character. Character. Okay, now this is a little bit different. Up here it worked, but here it just changed the way it wrote this, and also there is a space in between. Don't know why it's doing it that way, but well, we can fix that, of course. I think this is something you can fix definitely by yourself. So again, this would be RPG characters, characters. Maybe we can rename the method here as well. And then there is this error here. Where is it? RPG characters exists. Character, not characters. That's correct. All right. And last one. Oh. Okay. Let's have a look. Save everything, restart, and there we are. Okay, so building worked. Now let's just get some characters here. Execute, Alice, mage. Nice. Now we say we want to get a single one. ID 1, execute, worked. What about 5, execute, 404 not found. Awesome. Now let's say we post one. Try this out. Don't need the ID actually. Name is Frodo. What do we have as classes? It's just a string, right? So let's just say knight, level 1, health 100, mana 50. Hit execute, and this is our response. Nice. And now when we get all our characters, we see Frodo here, and in the database also here. Nice. And now we may want to update, so maybe we can just copy the result here in our put call. Try it out. ID 4 would be Frodo is now level 10. Hit execute. We get, what do we get? 204 undocumented, all right? But it's a success state, so now it's level 10. So this worked as well. And the last one would be delete. So let's delete Frodo again. We hit execute, and we get this result, and Frodo is gone. So this now worked. With a bit more work and also some knowledge was required here to make this work, but still lots and lots of stuff already worked out of the box, in particular in the beginning when we did not use Entity Framework. So I think you can learn lots of stuff with ChatGPT and Bing Chat now. And you can also build your prototypes now way faster. And you can also do that with your Blazor applications. And if you want to know how to do this, then check out the video here on the screen.